Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all fantastic. Today we're going to check out the Mercury 7 reverb from Meris. Massive thank you to friend of the channel, patron saint of the channel, Brian Hook, for sending over his Mercury 7 for me to check out. I have been wanting to try one of these for a while, basically because I remember reading the marketing spiel and it said it was a Blade Runner inspired reverb. If you're familiar with the Blade Runner soundtrack, as I am, as I know a lot of you are, you know where this thing is coming from. Basically, there are two algorithms in here, one called Ultra Plate, one called Cathedral, kind of all the standard controls you would expect on a reverb pedal, plus a bunch of extra cool things like this pitch vector section. There's an alt function, actually lots of alt functions. If you hold down that alt button, all of these controls have an alt function like pre-delay, I think it's chorus, modulation, rate, vibrato. You've got the ability to blend like the pitch style effects with a non-pitch style reverb in there, a bunch of other stuff. I think reverb density is another one as well. There's all off the top of my head. You kind of got to read the manual to remember what the alt functions are. You can connect an expression pedal or a Meris 4-button foot switch to access presets, or you can do that via MIDI as well. But I'm just going to kind of dig into this thing and noodle around. You know, this isn't a review per se. It's just me checking out a pedal that I happen to really like the look of and the sound of. And there's a bunch of things that I'm about to miss in this demo. So feel free to complain about that in the video description as well. I'm going to do another video with this thing, comparing it to a bunch of other reverbs in the future. But for now, let's all enjoy the mighty Mercury 7 from Meris. Let's just get started exploring the Ultra Plate algo for some vanilla reverb sounds. This is my dry sound. What I'm going to do is bring the mix up to about noon. I've got the decay at about 9 o'clock. The high and low frequency controls are set at noon, no modulation, and the pitch vector control is off. We get this. Just a very subtle ambience there. If you bring this space decay up to about noon, it's far more pronounced. It's a pretty lovely sounding plate right there. You can shape the character of the decay with the high and low frequency controls. For example, if you bring the low frequency down and push the high frequency, you get this. Really bright plate style sound. I'll do the opposite because this is nice if you like darker plate style reverbs, which personally I do, especially on dirty guitars. We'll hear some dirty guitars in a sec, but first. I'm just going to push the highs back up and bring the lows down. I might go for even more decay, but what I'm going to do is just bring the mix down. We get this. Maybe a little bit too much there. Still maybe a little bit too bright as well. Let's hear this. That is a lot better. What you can do with the alt functions on the space decay is give it a bit of pre-delay. So I'll bring the pre-delay up to about noon. Just kind of puts a little bit of space between your dry signal and the reverb. Really good on dirty guitar. and then just a little bit of modulation on there. For some reason, I always think Alex Lifeson when I think modulated reverb, so I guess I have to play this. I love that on dirty guitars right there. There are a bunch of other alt functions on here. For example, the alt function on the low frequency control controls the density. So I'm gonna wind that all the way up and let's hear that on dirty guitars. That's kind of nice. Let's hear the difference if I turn it all the way down. Yeah, I think I like it all the way up. So we'll just roll with that one all the way up. And then the secondary function on the high frequency adds vibrato to your reverb. So just for fun, let's crank that one all the way up. Now that's kind of interesting. It gives you like a more lo-fi sounding wobbly reverb. It's just kind of sitting in there and adding some character. What's really cool is there's a swell foot switch. So if I kick that in, this is basically gonna set the reverb 100% wet and give me automatic volume swells. You can start to hear that wobble there. That's probably a little bit too much. I might take that vibrato out. And I'm actually gonna bring the decay up a little bit, and let's just kind of play around with this swell control again. Big reverb, but not as big as when you use the same settings on the Cathedral mode. This is monstrous. Alrighty, so that is the basic idea. I'm just going to switch back to a clean sound. Let's hear some of the pitch shifted modes on there. I'm going to start with the shimmer because who doesn't love a lovely shimmery reverb on a clean sound? You can control the shimmer to non-shimmer blend using the secondary function on the mix control. I've got that set at 50% at the moment though. We get this. So far, so good. The plate sounds great, especially on dirty guitars. The shimmer is a really, really lovely shimmer, but I reckon my favorite pitched mode is this octave down, so basically an anti-shimmer effect. Let's hear it clean. Basically instant soundtrack, whatever source you use that one on. There is a really cool kind of pitch down Doppler style effect and a pitch up Doppler style effect. Let's just hear those. There is also a fifth up pitch style effect, which to me sounds like an outtake from Passion and Warfare, especially with this swell control. You get this. As you heard there, I definitely prefer it on the swell mode there. Let's just hear this thing on a couple of different sources. I'm going to use some stems from one of my favorite synthwave bands, The Midnight. I purchased these stems from their Bandcamp store. You should definitely check them out. Great band. Having the stems available is a real treat as well. But we'll hear this on a few different keyboard sounds, on sax, and then we'll hear it on a vocal, Ryan's lead vocal from the Ragdoll song Heaven Above. It will be the plate mode on the vocals, and then I'll play around with the Doppler style effects and the pitch up and down effects on the keys. Let's hear it.
is just deception. You fail to mention past indiscretions. Take my dying hour, whisper confessions. I'm resurrected. I have fallen from the heights of your heaven above. You were lying when you cried, torn and broken for love. Lay with me, unleash me, burn down our love, just let me go. Broken, bleeding in the dark where you left me so low.
Hearing those examples on some keyboards, especially with the pitched effects, I think really shows what those algorithms are best at. Pummeling them with heavily distorted electric guitars where you have a lot of upper partials, a lot of like extra harmonic information, tends to overload the effect. And if you heard some of the examples I played earlier, like it sounds cool, but a lot of you are probably sitting there going, yeah, how am I going to use that musically? When you hear it on pads or keyboard sounds where you don't necessarily have those really complex upper harmonics, I think it really brings those sound sources to life. We also heard there, the plate sounds great as a straight up kind of studio style plate reverb. And as much as I love those kind of weird and wacky effects on there, I've been using just the straight up ultra plate with basically all the knobs except the modulation and the pitch vector at noon on dirty guitars, especially low tune guitars, because it just sounds good. It's a really, really sweet sounding reverb. It's really, really nice. Not too much, not too little. It really is like a Goldilocks sounding plate reverb right there. With the bigger Cathedral algorithm and the shimmer and the swell, that's awesome as well. I think my main criticism is that, you know, I have to read the manual to figure out what the alt functions on there. You don't need the alt functions to get the most out of this pedal, but if you compare it to something like the Eventide Black Hole, which I will do in a future video, I want to do a video with this, the Black Hole, the Big Sky, Specular Tempest, maybe the PCM81 and a few other reverbs, just do a big giant reverb shootout. Let me know if there's any other verbs I should check out in the comments below if you want to hear them on that comparison. But like on Black Hole, you've got the secondary functions labeled and you do have a dedicated alt switch right there. So that's kind of my main criticism of this pedal, is that the alt functions are a little bit buried, kind of like the Strymon stuff. I think the Eventide .9 pedals do that really well, but this, you know, doesn't really sound like the Big Sky. It doesn't really sound like Black Hole. It's definitely got its own little ecological niche. What was I saying? Oh yeah, shimmer all the way up, the swell. That's a really, really cool feature. Just decay all the way up, heaps and heaps of modulation and high frequency on dirty guitars. On the Cathedral algorithm, I'm going to play you all out with that. Thanks so much for watching this video where I just noodle around with the Mercury 7. Again, thank you to Brian Hook for sending me this one out. Absolutely legendary stuff. What did you all think of the Mercury 7? Do you have one of these? What do you use it on? What do you like it with? What don't you like it with? Let me know in the comments. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.